All right, we're live. Let me share it in the chat.
Nice.
All right, let's see. We got. Let's wait for people to get in. All right, let's see. We got.
Amen too. Bro, I was telling Matt we should turn this into a podcast. Drop on Sapien.
Right.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Bro, I was telling Matt we should turn this into a podcast. Drop on Sapien. Questions or just
Not a bad idea.
All right, I'm gonna pin it and then we'll start.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Matt, I think one thing we should start with is the tag at 1,000. I think we'll be getting a ton of questions on those.
Cool. You want me to answer that?
Yeah. This is
So basically, ETH for the duration of our pre-sale is pegged at 1,000. We made that decision after taking a rolling average over the 2 weeks leading up to the sale. So basically, in our pre-sale, ETH is valued at 1,000. So no matter what the price of ETH is, it's going to be treated at 1,000. So something that people have been asking us is, there is, I guess, some sort of USD discount on that basis. It's still 1 ETH equals 72,000, 7,200 SPN in the pre-sale, but obviously ETH is below $1,000 right now. So essentially there's like a hidden discount there, I guess. But for the duration of our pre-sale, ETH is pegged to 1,000.
Right. And that's because we're collecting it in ETH. It's we haven't liquidated the funds either. It's not like we're operating on USD right now. So that's why peg to ETH made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right here. Let me see the chat. Mm-hmm.
Feel free to ask any questions in the YouTube chat. That's why we're doing this. Any questions at all, we're here to answer them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now legally we cannot comment on exchanges. That's all we can basically say right now. Yeah, we're planning on doing a complete rebrand at some point, but definitely already in the works of talking to different graphic designers, UX, UI designers as well, to basically enhance what we have now. And then in the future, there is plans to do a complete rebrand with new logos and whatnot.
Yeah. And we're definitely going to be expanding our team a bit. So at some point, we'll be reaching out, people in the community, or if you guys know a friend that, might be the right fit for us, I think it'd be great to bring on some new talent. So, we're always looking for new people. You can email us at support@sapien.network, and, feel free to shoot your resume or your friend's reference, and it'd be great to sort of start collecting that talent.
Yeah, U.S. investors can participate as long as they're not New York residents. To introduce ourselves, I'm Matt, marketing lead for Sapien, and if everyone else wants to introduce themselves.
Chris.
I'm Chris. Located in New York. I am the head of PR.
Rob, co-founder, CPO.
I'm Ankit. I'm the CEO and co-founder.
Ankit, can you explain the specific advantages for Sapien with the BitClave partnership?
Yeah, I sort of touched into it in the last AMA also, but essentially what we're trying to push towards is a unified data sharing environment where we can use the blockchain to shift from data slavery to data sovereignty, right? And what this entails is the empowerment of user data. And since Sapien is coming at it from the search perspective, we're going to be, the social perspective, we're going to have a lot of user activity, posting and commenting. If users opt in to do so, we can collect this data and tokenize it for them. And what BitClave is doing is from the search side of things, they're collecting search data and they're basically monetizing that. And we thought it would be a very cool sort of partnership, and it sort of clicked immediately that we could push towards this data sharing API that would not only help our two companies, but also any other Web 3.0 businesses in the future. So, I met with Alex, the CEO of BitClave, and it just made perfect sense to get started with this integration. And, it's something that we're looking forward to. So.
Awesome. When can people start signing up for the beta? We plan on letting people in on a rolling basis after the sale, and then opening it up to everybody in April, or at least the pre-sale contributors for sure.
I saw one question earlier about the Friends project. I think Friends with a Z. So I just took a look at that quickly before I jumped on here. It seems as if they're not really. Essentially, what they're trying to do is revolutionize digital marketing on the blockchain. So it kind of touches on what we do, but it's not really. I think it's a completely different project. So to call us competitors or operating in the same space, I don't think it's fair. I haven't read too much into it, but it seems as if they're kind of going after more in terms of like different projects that are more geared towards changing the face of how marketing is really done on the blockchain. So, but I wouldn't call them direct competitors to Sapien. Some similarities, but I wouldn't say it's a similar project. I would say they're more different, more on not opposite ends, but I wouldn't call them similar by any means.
Yeah, and someone just asked about the difference between Sapien and Steemit. I guess I'll touch on it from a feature standpoint, and then pass it on to Rob or Ankit from a technical standpoint. But from the videos of our beta, I think it's like pretty clear to see that there's a very clear difference in the way the platforms run compared Steemit to Sapien. Sapien is more, in my opinion, a little more user-friendly, and it allows for a lot more different styles of conversation and news sharing on the platform. Steem is just a very simple blog style, and with Sapien you have branches, friends, groups, chat via Rocket Chat. So there's a lot of different things that you could do on the Sapien platform that you can't do on Steemit. and one of our community members, Renee, did a really great breakdown of that. And I'm going to share that article and video now in the chat, in the Telegram chat, so you guys can check it out. But he kind of talks about a Web 3.0 world where he sees, you know, Sapien and Steemit coexisting, because essentially what both platforms do is different. But what I would say is that the essential parts of Steemit are located within Sapien from like a feature standpoint, right? Like you can still take that same blogging persona that you have on Steemit and apply it to Sapien because of the way the feed is designed, like the layout of the platform. If Ankit or Rob want to comment on more about the technical side on that, I'm going to share the video now on Telegram.
Sure. One of the differences between us and Steemit is our reputation system. So on Sapien, you can gain influence within the platform for making contributions within a community. So your influence builds up over time, as opposed to the system on Steemit.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the thing is that you just to build on what Rob was saying too, like you can just buy power on Steemit, right? And what the reputation system does is that you have to earn it, and your expertise is directly reflected in your community. So it's not something that, you know, the problem right now with Steemit is that there's just too many whales and not enough, you know, average people having enough power on the site. So what we propose in the white paper is a complete reputation-based system where I'm no powerful than, you know, the next person who's joining Sapien, right? Everything is just a reflection of our contributions to our communities. And we think this is a much better basis for a democratized social platform.
Yeah, the next one is considering the rules of social media advertising business on Facebook. How are you planning to take away share? Well, one, just a comment on that in general. I've actually been doing Facebook ads for 7 years now, and I've really seen the, I guess, downgrade that the company has decided to basically do with their entire ad space and Facebook ad platform. It's just been regressing over time. And I think a big reason behind that is because Facebook has decided that they wanted more and more control over what was being shared on their platform. And by taking over more and more control, they've kind of given the short end of the stick to the advertisers and to the businesses on the profile. Ryan asked this question. I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity to see our ad revenue share video. I'm going to share that in the Telegram as well. We really want to reinvent the entire way advertisements are presented on social. And a big part of that is based off of what Ankit was just saying now, making sure Sapien gives users control over their data and empowering them with their data. And that goes from everything from the partnership with BitClave to what we're trying to do with advertisements as well. Right now, users don't have that power and they don't have that control over their data. And like, we're really trying to change that. But I think your question was more from a business standpoint. We're trying to also not just revolutionize social in general. We're trying to revolutionize the way advertisements are presented on social and really making it a very clean experience for the advertiser, the platform, and the user. And I think that's something that Facebook clearly turned away from. I think they expanded very quickly and they forgot what made them what they are today, which was the users. And for their ad platform, it was the businesses and the advertisers. And they kind of turned their back on both of those crowds. And I think this whole Web 3.0 revolution is making sure that platforms realize that the true value creators within the network are the users, and making sure we pivot in that direction to enforce empowering the users and so on and so forth.
That's kind of what YouTube is just did to a bunch of the content creators. They started to really censor the type of content that was being released. And then also in terms of their whole monetization model, it seems as if they're trying to kill off like some of the channels by really reducing them based on search, and then reducing their exposure based on search, and then based on whether or not they're featured. So that's kind of brings it on into that whole YouTube space too, in terms of the video content creators that are also losing a lot of money, because when you think about it, YouTube essentially takes about like 45%, almost 50% of the profits for any of those content creators. And this doesn't even take into account things like production or editing or even the time and the props that is used to make those content. So, you know, they're kind of messing up that whole monetization model. I know a few YouTubers that are moving into like their own private community, and this is something that's, you know, that kind of lands perfect. And they're looking for a platform. Was it the other alternative was vid.me? I think that was the other alternative, and that even though that's still not, you know, that still has some holes in their game. So, you know, it's a good landscape to get involved in for us, and I think we can really change the way, you know, content creators interact with, and also change the way the users interact with the content creators. So, you know, just this whole Web 3.0 thing, I think, is really cool. It's been a blast to be a part of. So, you know, hopefully this you know, brings that revolution.
Great. And I see a few questions in the YouTube chat about the specifics about how our advertising model will work. So I just want to post this in the Telegram chat. Rob wrote a great article on how our ad revenue sharing model will work. So I'm just posting it right now. You guys feel free to check that out. It's actually part of our business model, but it's also a way for us to let users earn a portion of the ad revenue that they generate. And this is just really cool. I think we can do this because we're blockchain based, and we can incentivize people to not only share their data if they want, but actually receive a portion of that. So this is something that will be very hard for existing corporations to do, because it's a fundamental infrastructure level difference, and it would just mean that they would have to scrap away, you know, all their thousands, if not millions, of lines of code just to sort of take this approach. So.
Yep. And then Ty was asking, I guess, about the overall content on Sapien. It's entirely what the users want to post, right? Like there will be a music branch, there will definitely be a news branch, a politics branch. It's really just going to be tons of different types of information, and you can share whatever you want, right? Because the question was more about it's to fight fake news. Well, that's definitely part of it with the reputation system to try to reward quality content, but anything could be shared, right? Sports talk, music, politics, news. I guess now if the platform was out, there'd be a thread on the Olympics, right? So it's really tied in with what the users want to talk about. Ryan is asking on the YouTube topic, any partnerships with content creators? Right now, we do have a couple partnerships with media publications who want to have their own premium branch on Sapien, so they could share their stories and their articles and develop a reputation system themselves. We haven't made any direct partnership with YouTube content creators, but we do plan on partnering with people from all different Web 2.0 social networks, and basically giving them an option to, you know, move over to Sapien or develop a community on Sapien as well, and take advantage of the features that Sapien offers that the current social network platforms don't offer. And I think a lot of these creators are going to be interested in taking advantage of this because, as Chris was talking about, there's clearly a demand for creators looking for a new platform to be able to push content on, because the current platforms are either A, holding them back, or B, not giving them access to rewards that they should have. And I think YouTube is a perfect example. The YouTube content creators make up the content for YouTube, right? So I think the focus is shifting a little bit now, and people are starting to realize that they want to be a part of a platform that they can be fairly rewarded for their efforts and for their work.
But you also have to think about the fact that, or what you guys as our audience has to think about is also the fact that, you know, those privacy policies that you sign up and you just click, you don't even read. To be honest, I don't even read them. But you click on them and you basically sign away all your rights to any of the content, any of the posts that you put up there. So essentially, once it's up there, those platforms like Facebook and YouTube pretty much can use it however they want. They don't even have to tell you. It's even though it's on your channel, they technically own it. So it's almost, so essentially in that fact that, you know, they own your content. You know, people on the platform end up becoming, and I say this all the time, the user and the customer. The user, because we're using their platform to post our content, to, you know, connect with friends, and we're basically using the platform. And then we're their customer because they take our data and they sell it however they want, they use it however they want, and they also take the content that you create and they sell it and distribute it however they want. So in that case, it's kind of just a lose-lose situation for a user and a content creator, and especially for people that are trying to monetize. Like it's kind of a wrong inclination to believe that once you're on YouTube and you have a certain amount of following, you're making, you're like the YouTube millionaire. But that's not really the case. I know a lot of them that have, a pretty decent following, and they actually aren't really doing, aren't really like making it, quote unquote, to say. So it's just, that's kind of just the issue there. It's that it's just for a user and a content creator, it's almost lose-lose. And the fact that, you create content, they take a majority of the profits, and then they also take ownership of your content. And then as a user per se, you sign away all your rights. They can use you, they can ban you, they can censor you. So basically it's almost, I guess it was good when it first started off and they're still trying to figure everything out. But with all the things with like politics and what's good to say and what's, not good to say, it almost favors them in their own social agenda in terms of what they want to promote and what they don't want to promote. So they kind of steer the conversation towards what they want you to see and what they don't want you to see. So pretty interesting there.
Definitely. Let's see what else we have here. In regards to censorship, I think we spoke about this in the last mini AMA. Ankit, do you want to take that on and kind of talk about the transitioning into like a full D app and how that would look, and I guess our obligations as from the Sapien?
Definitely. It's one of the main questions we get when we say that we want to stand for free speech. I think it's very important that we stick by that ideology, and we will not be practicing censorship unless it's illegal content, and this pertains to terrorism or child pornography or anything that's like just disallowed, right? And while it is easy to sort of figure that out in the beginning when we are still a centralized platform with a decentralized token ecosystem, it becomes harder as we transition into a full DApp, right? Like this is one of the double-edged sword of blockchain, right? Because decentralization may make it hard to moderate content. So this is something that we've thought about a lot, and ideally we want to have the tools in place, the sort of basically empower the community with community flagging, with some sort of machine learning neural net that can detect illegal content, and essentially have the help of the community to figure out what content should just be disallowed from the site. Illegal content, very clearly, it not only results in your ban, but also you're going to lose your tokens. So there's a huge disincentive to posting illegal content. So I do think the community needs to be really involved in this process, though. So.
Yep. Let's see.
Preventing bots is pretty straightforward, and you can use machine learning neural nets to do that. Rob, you can also touch on that, or you can also just have reCAPTCHA from Google and do a few different things. You can also make it regarding KYC. You can make it mandatory for verified accounts. So if you want to be a verified individual on Sapien, you would have to go through KYC, and once you do that, we're thinking that you could also get a little boost in your reputation because you are confirming that you are a real person. So it's just something that would benefit the overall ecosystem.
Yeah, and even before the KYC, there'll be a verification process to prevent, problemed accounts. But as Ankit and Rob both stated, the something at stake design really helps prevent people from acting bad just to act bad. King of Crypto asked, I have one question though regarding freedom of speech. Since on the network we vote on the credibility of other users, will this not result in unified, like-minded community in where there's no room for people with different opinions? This could be a slippery slope in terms of the platform becoming a hub for only people who share the same opinion. That's a great question, and we actually had a really great meeting discussing solutions to this yesterday. And Ankit, do you want to basically touch on kind of what we summed up yesterday in the meeting, because we do get this question a lot as well?
Specifically, how a community doesn't become like an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like my understanding was that the way we're going to implement reputation is that it's going to be independent in each community. So it's not something that if you gain a lot of power in one area, like in the gaming community or funny, it doesn't just translate over to technology, right? Your reputation is essentially a reflection of your expertise, and therefore it would be hard for a particular like subset of people to like sort of gang up and lower the reputation of someone else in another community. Likely they would be sort of creating their own chambers that are very small in size and just talking to each other. So I don't think it would have a drastic impact on the rest of the platform. Rob, was there anything you wanted to add there?
Just that I think on the community level, it's very hard to control that. And there's not really much we can do to prevent echo chambers.
Right. At a certain degree, I mean, we can't really control how people think, what they think. We can only provide the tools and put the infrastructure in place, and the rest is sort of up to people, right? How seriously they want to take what someone else posts. Providing things like machine learning and providing a score for some news or something, right? It does give people more validity that what they're reading is true, right? So it's just, for us, it's all about just providing the tools to maximize the sort of looking for what the right thing is,
right? Does reputation scale as more people sign up? If you were early on the beta, can you effectively get ahead now on a given branch? 100%. So basically two things there. One, everybody who participated in the pre-sale is getting a special badge next to their name that's going to help you stand out and signal that you were an early adopter to Sapien. And with any social network, and I think now more than ever, especially the younger generation who really has seen the growth in the old models, they've realized that first mover advantage is a real thing, especially when it comes to social networks. So I think everybody who gets involved with Sapien early is going to have an opportunity to develop their reputation system before everybody else. If they were a contributor in the pre-sale, they'll have a badge that signals that, and then 100% taking advantage of the fact that you're one of the first people on the platform, so you can start developing your reputation system in whatever field you want to talk about. And Ryan, about categorizing content and allowing each user to censor content. For example, if you don't want to see content with disturbing content, they should choose not to. You can follow or not follow any branch you want, and the overall spectrum of what would be disturbing content, as Ankit stated, our only responsibilities are to avoid allowing the sharing of illegal content. But essentially, the something at stake design prevents that, right? Like the fact that you could potentially lose your tokens if you share a picture of child pornography, for example, or of a murder scene or something like that, right? Something very intense. The way the system's designed is it actually makes it doesn't incentivize you to do that. It actually makes it, if you do that, you're going to be punished for it. So I think that kind of helps avoid the problem. But in terms of like what you want to see on your profile, the way the platform is designed is you pick what branches you want to follow and what branches and communities you want to be a part of. And there's ways on the home screen where you could search by branch. You could have all your feeds combined. So it's really cool to just be able to subscribe to different content sectors that you're interested in and be able to take part in those communities.
Right. And yeah, just to clarify so people aren't confused, like the reputation system isn't implemented right now, but it's one of the things that we can build because we are leveraging the blockchain, right? So it's, as of right now, it's a really feature-rich social platform, but a lot of like the payouts, the reputation, that stuff will come, according to the roadmap that's on our site and white paper. So just want to clarify that. So.
Charles is asking, as a follow-up, when will the public forum debate via Rocket Chat be available with live voting on points being made? I think that question is about the ability to vote up and down, right?
You can vote up and down.
You can upvote and downvote on the platform right now.
Debate, via Rocket Chat. That's cool. I think that's an interesting idea too. We can sort of, because Rocket Chat is open source, we can sort of build these different implementations. And one of the things we do want to do is add our token to our chat system also at some point. So we can do just really cool stuff with, like, you know, live podcast recording or just tipping within the chat system itself. So I think it's just a matter of time that we'll, you know, build out some of these features in the chat.
Yeah, and Ty asked, is the Sapien page customizable? It's super customizable. I think that's one of the cool features of it, is you could position it in a way that helps you move through content the best. And I think that's one of the better features for sure.
Right. One of the cool things we have is like a little slider that lets you choose between posts and social, like category posts from your subscriptions or from your friends and groups. And you can just sort of tweak depending how you're feeling, or, you know, whatever setting you want. That's kind of nice. Have various sorts, new, top, hot. We have this like toxic sort in the comments that uses the Google's Perspective API. And that sort of ranks a comment by how toxic it is. So again, it's just up to you how you want to use the site.
What other questions we have here? Yeah, so basically, to respond to King of Crypto again, who you've had a lot of great questions, King of Crypto. How we prevent people from utilizing bots on the platform that could target the reputation score of certain individuals. One, there, as we had mentioned before, there'll be some sort of verification process if you want to become a verified individual, but also like in the initial sign-up stage. And SBN is required to access the platform, which is actually really cool. So it's a huge utility of the SBN token. There's going to be a minimum amount of SBN you'll need to have, and it's probably going to be the same amount that we had for our pre-sale, 0.02 ETH. 0.02 ETH, yeah. It's like $20 of ETH. And it goes back to the something at stake design, which is people don't want to be put in a position where they could essentially have their tokens frozen or lose their tokens for acting bad. So I think the problem right now is there's no consequence for being a bot on Twitter, right? There's no consequence for being a bot on Facebook or Instagram. You can go on there, you can make 1,000 bot accounts. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're just going to ban your account, and then you just make 1,000 more bot accounts. That's the difference with Sapien, right? There's just something at stake design. So if you're constantly creating bot accounts, you're going to constantly need to, A, have the SBN in your account to actually access the platform, and then have that account frozen and not have access to those funds. It becomes expensive, right? The problem with Facebook and Twitter right now and Instagram is they're being flooded with bots because there's literally no consequence besides, hey, yeah, we're going to delete your account. And in my opinion, I think those accounts actually, those platforms love the bots, right? They love the fact that they have a ton of these fake users that they can send to like so-and-so's posts and what, so on and so forth. And my personal opinion, and there is some articles about this, right? It's very hard to prove this as a fact, but I do feel like the reason these platforms do not turn away from the bots is it's very, very easy for them to create ad impressions and basically charge your ad budget off of these bot accounts. So instead of them having to show your ad to 10,000 humans, they could actually show it to 70% human, 30% bot, and be able to tap into your ad account quickly. And if you actually do ads on these platforms, you can kind of notice where certain ads, you'll see the activity and it doesn't seem organic. And I think a huge part of why those platforms are open to the bots is because they make it look more active. They understand that there's something in the human psyche when it comes to Instagram where people like seeing their picture get a ton of likes, right? They don't care how they get the likes. They just want to see the likes happen. So I think those platforms have kind of incentivized this bot culture, and it's very important for Sapien to stop that, right? It's a human network. So we want to make sure it's humans interacting on the platform and not bots that are just there to cause potential harm. Is it fair to say that Sapien would be a hybrid combo of Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat?
I think it's more like Reddit, Twitter, and Steemit. Probably my combo 3.
Yeah, we're just going after everyone. Reddit first, and then we'll take on the other ones. But it's fine. Well, we have some of the good elements from each of them.
Yeah.
And we have some of our own features thrown in. So yeah.
Ankit, can you comment on the staking for Walkerman?
Yeah. So let me read the question first. Will a user always get back the SPN they have staked before upvoting? If no, at what upvote count does he do not get his original stake? If yes, what is the point of staking SPN? So there's a few different utilities of staking. The biggest thing is that when you're staking, you're committing your tokens to the ecosystem, and the platform needs a certain amount of staked SPN tokens for its stability. When you stake SPN tokens, you as a user get access to the platform. You get to basically get a greater proportion of the ad revenue. You can get a capacity bonus after you reach a certain duration. It's set at 6 months right now. It's a 15% capacity bonus. And basically, staking is the way that we ensure that this is a utility token, that it's a tokenized social platform, right? Without the concept of staking, it would be very sort of fluid, like tokens coming in, going out. With staking, you are essentially, the users are all sort of coming together and creating this tokenized platform. And without that, none of this would be possible. And you do get back the SPN that when you upload or whatever your SPN will come back. Your payouts themselves, they'll be sort of dependent on quite a few different factors. The amount that you've staked, your reputation, how early you staked. So we're factoring in a few of these different things when we do implement it. But yeah, staking is definitely essential. Unstaked tokens, they just sort of exist. But yeah.
And part of his question, I think, was the ability to get back your tokens at the end of the staking period. Can you explain how that part works as well?
Yeah, I think we don't want the cognitive overhead of just like burning tokens every time. If there's a cost to using the platform, then people will always be thinking like, hey, it's about to cost me a penny to upload, right? We don't want that. What we want is that you as a user are just accepting that like you have these tokens in the ecosystem and they're sort of vested and your values are sort of aligned with the well-being of the platform. So instead, like you're not going to like consume or burn the tokens. You'll get them back at the end of the period. And if it is the quality content that you've curated, and we're doing payouts, then you'll actually receive more than what you put in to the stake. So it's sort of just a game theory design. Rob, if you want to add anything to that too, but good, Rob.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
Okay, cool.
And then let's see, we have King of Crypto. Thank you. The staking method is definitely a great way for us to avoid the bots and the expansion of the bots trying to influence the platform, because it would just get very expensive, right? Every time your tokens are frozen, and that's what something that stake design is, right? It causes a barrier that didn't exist before on social networks. So we're really excited about that.
Right. And just to add, like this isn't something that we invented out of thin air, right? There's something at stake design. It's one of the fundamental principles that Vitalik is inventing with Casper and proof of stake. And essentially, like if you are holding a large amount of Ethereum, you can sort of validate the next blocks. And if you validate incorrectly and break these like slashing conditions, then you're going to lose your stake tokens, your stake deposit in Ethereum. So essentially, we're just applying the same sort of concept to a social platform, and that's what will make it more authentic. Will sort of prevent bots. Will give us a lot of benefits there. So
awesome. Walkerman is asking what determines whether a curator should get rewarded. Well, one, users can choose to directly reward the content creator with micro tips. There'll also be an ability to sell premium content. So you put together your top tokens of February, right? And you want to sell people the knowledge that you've put together in researching this information. You could have premium content on the platform as well. And then OnKick or Rob, if you guys want to talk about the consensus mechanism on how a curator is rewarded from the overall pool.
Yeah. Rob, you want to take this or?
Sure. So it's basically just based on the voting system, which factors in reputation. So whoever gets the most upvotes weighted by reputation gets a greater reward.
Awesome.
And it's important to point that it's community-based reputation in a community. It's not just it sort of will vary by the community size, the amount of influence in a particular community, right? We don't want to reward a community with 5 people the same way that we reward a community with 50,000 people or one with 500,000 people, right? There needs to be a you need to distinguish those different cases. And that's why it'll be the total engaged reputation in a community. And this is also sort of one of the reasons why we partnered up with DAOstack, because they are essentially a governance system and they can help us create a decentralized curation system. And, that's why we're in a really good position to build out this whole thing. So long AMA today, Matt.
Yeah, it's not a mini AMA. It's a full Saturday AMA. Full force. King of Crypto asked, OnKick, can you comment on the BitClave partnership we commented on in the beginning of the video? If you want to comment on the DAOstack, and I'm gonna read King of Crypto's question now to get an answer for that. So if you just want to comment on the DAOstack partnership.
Yeah, just real quick, it's just you guys should definitely check out what they're doing. Matan, real smart guy. He's been working on these governance models for decentralized autonomous organizations. And what DAOstack is it's a set of rules. It's a governance system. It's also a tokenized protocol layer and a abstraction with ArcGIS on the Ethereum blockchain. All of these together sort of creates this interoperable DAOs that can interact with each other and build on each other and communicate to each other. And this is one of the sort of ideal frameworks to build Sapien on, just because there's a lot of benefits to get from that. They have their own version of reputation that we're seeing how we can integrate. They have their own governance system. So one of the utilities that we have for the SPN token is the democratized autonomous platform, which will give users a real voice in the direction of the company, the direction of the product. And this is one of the things that DAOstack will help us accomplish. So we're looking how we can integrate that. So
awesome. The lockup period for the team is locked up over a 2-year period with a 6-month cliff. For King of Crypto, back to the reputation system. The whole point of the reputation system is to basically create a base of, I guess, certification behind an individual and their knowledge in certain topics or branches, and hopefully use that as a way to give more power to people who are acting proper on the platform and to validate other posts of quality, which is what Rob was saying. That plays into the overall weighted score for the upvotes, right? Somebody with a stronger reputation system who's put in the content into the platform and is consistently providing value into the network develops a better reputation system, which and therefore gives that individual a stronger upvote, right? Would that be safe to say?
I think also, since there's a limit, an upper bound on reputation, that the early users won't be like dominant as new users join the platform. Should it even out?
Exactly. Because Crypto is asking, will likely have similar opinions. Basically, the same question of like how we can prevent a certain, and I understand where that question is coming from. Like, let's say it's a politics, I think could play into this role. Like, I don't see this so much for music or sports or things like that, but I think for like a politics branch, this definitely could come into play. Being that everyone has different interests in the early days, how does the platform encourage people to interact and not just go into niches that don't share common ground?
I've actually thought a bit about this question, and Rob, this sort of reminds me of the time that we would like discuss with like Sam and some people, like how do we like fling opposing views at each other? And this is not in the white paper, but it's just one of the theories that we had, was that the sort of way to like fight against misinformation is more information, right? And one of the approaches that we're thinking is like, if you are in a Democrat branch versus you're in a Republican branch, one of the things is maybe it shouldn't be so isolated, and instead you could just sort of fling content from one side to another, and potentially even like promote and encourage discussions among these different communities. And this is just like something that we've been thinking about, but haven't really like made it concrete yet. But it could be an approach. So, Rob?
Yeah, I think in the early days, at least, just people will be able to see a lot of different types of content on the platform, so there should be a pretty diverse pool.
Cool. So, Matt, I think that's like pretty good for mini AMA.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be doing these a few times a week. Definitely have a couple in store for next week, some more exciting announcements, and thank you all for your support. It's been fun, and there's been a great AMA, so thanks again. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, keep up the good questions.
Yeah, great question. All right, bye.